Chrome stacks. Red accent stripes down the flanks of a white cab. A Mercury sleeper bolted on at the factory before the truck ever turned a wheel in anger. This wasn't a truck someone bought off a lot and handed to a film crew. This was a truck that was made for this moment. The year was 1977. A production company was putting together a modest NBC television movie about an independent trucker on the edge of financial ruin, a man watching everything he built about to be taken from him. They needed a truck that looked like it cost more than the man driving it could afford. They needed something that would make the audience believe for 90 minutes that this machine was worth saving. What they got was a white Western Star 4800, and the company that built it was already dying. Here is the part that most people don't know about Steel Cowboy. The truck at the center of the film, the one James Brolin calls the Outlaw, the one he polishes in nearly every scene, the one the whole story turns on, was reportedly donated by White Motor Company specifically for this production. Custom built, last leftover unit from the prior model year, sent to Universal Studios already dressed, already wearing its stripes. 2 years after the film aired, White Motor Company was gone. The company they built to be remembered went missing. The company that built it ceased to exist. And Steel Cowboy, the film itself, became one of the quieter entries in the entire trucker era, a footnote in a genre that had already peaked by the time it broadcast. This is the story of what was built, what was lost, and why it matters that both happened at the same time. White Motor Company had been building trucks since 1900. That is not a typo. By the time the CB radio craze was cresting and Burt Reynolds was grinning from every movie poster in America, White had been in the commercial vehicle business longer than most of its competitors had been alive. The Western Star line, the conventionals, the long-nosed, chrome-stacked, wide-fendered machines that made truckers feel like they were driving something, had been part of White's portfolio since the late 1960s. The Aero 4800 was the flagship. Square hood, flat fenders, the kind of proportions that made a truck look like it was built to last 30 years and then keep going. It was a premium product in a market that was increasingly being taken over by more utilitarian machinery. By the mid-1970s, White was in trouble. The company had expanded aggressively, acquiring other brands, stretching its resources across a portfolio it couldn't sustain. The costs were mounting, the market was tightening. The independent owner-operator boom that had made the late CB era feel like a golden age for heavy trucks was already beginning to soften. But in 1977, they were still building, still selling. And when a production at Universal needed a showcase truck for a network television movie, White Motor Company reportedly saw an opportunity. According to accounts in the enthusiast community, and this is where confidence levels matter because no primary documentation is surfaced, White Motor Company didn't simply provide a stock unit, they took the last leftover 1976 model year 4800 off the floor and built it into something specific. A Mercury sleeper was added at the factory before the truck shipped. The red accent stripes were painted on. The chrome stacks were stretched tall. The engine was a Cummins VT903, 350 horsepower at a time when that number still meant something, backed by a Fuller RTO 13-speed gearbox. The truck that arrived at Universal Studios was not a working truck that happened to photograph well. It was a show truck that had been built to be the centerpiece of the frame. Reports suggest the truck had already been used as a display unit at trade shows in 1975 and 1976 before it was designated for the production. Whether that means it was purpose-built as a show truck before the film opportunity arose, or whether the film commitment came first, is not documented in any source I've been able to locate. The exact production year of the truck itself is disputed in the enthusiast record. Some accounts place it as a 1975 model, others as a 1976. The disagreement is unresolved. What is consistent across accounts is the rest. 2 trucks were prepared for filming, a hero truck and a stunt truck. The hero truck, Truck 1, the one the camera loved, was the Western Star 4800 described above. The stunt truck was an older, rougher unit, a 1971 model by some accounts, a 1973 by others, a 4764 variant. A working truck that had already put in years before it came to a film set. Same Cummins power, harder miles. The stunt truck was used for the scenes where the production couldn't risk the hero vehicle. Hard stops, stress sequences, the moments where physics took over and things could go wrong. It was also used, reportedly, in the film's closing sequence, the ending scene at the truck stop, where Clayton finally lets someone else take the wheel. After filming wrapped, the stunt truck went back to doing what working trucks do. It was scrapped sometime in the late 1980s, around 1988 according to the same enthusiast accounts. No documentation has been produced to confirm that date, but no one has reported seeing it since. For a vehicle in the condition it was in by the end of filming, that outcome is not surprising. The Hero truck was a different matter entirely. It was never meant to be scrapped. It was meant to survive. After filming concluded in 1977, the Hero truck returned to Universal Studios. It sat there for approximately a year. The film broadcast on December 6, 1978, a Wednesday night on NBC, 42nd in the ratings for the week. James Brolin was credible. Rip Torn was good. Melanie Griffith was 20 years old and barely in it. The film did not make anyone's year-end list. Once the broadcast had come and gone, the truck was sold at auction. That is where the trail ends. No auction records have been produced. No buyer has been identified in any documented source. The accounts that describe the auction, and they are enthusiast accounts, not verified records, note only that the truck was sold and that its subsequent history is unknown. One commenter in the IMCDB thread on this vehicle stated simply, "Today, the current location on this truck is unknown, although I am pretty sure it is still out there." That is the closest thing to a present-day report that exists. The truck had a VT903 Cummins in it. It had custom factory work. It had the kind of bones that make a machine worth keeping. The Western Star 4800 platform was built to last. The surviving units, and they are rare now, the few that didn't end up converted to dump trucks or gravel haulers in rough shape, turn up occasionally at truck shows or on listing sites. They are not common. They are not well documented as a class. Whether the Outlaw is one of the survivors or whether it met the fate of most production trucks that passed through auction and back into working service, nobody currently knows. In 1980, 2 years after Steel Cowboy aired, White Motor Company filed for bankruptcy. The company that had been building trucks since 1900. 80 years of commercial vehicle production ended in a bankruptcy filing. The Western Star nameplate was eventually acquired and survived under different ownership, which is why Western Star trucks still exist today, but White Motor Company itself was gone. The entity that had reportedly built the Outlaw, that had invested factory resources and show truck pedigree into a 90-minute NBC television movie, ceased to exist before the decade was out. There's something specific about that sequence of events that deserves to be said plainly. A company in financial difficulty, declining market position, overextended acquisitions, tightening margins, chose to build and donate a custom truck to a production that most of the country didn't watch. Whether that decision was a marketing calculation, a goodwill gesture, or simply the kind of thing that happens when a company still believes it has a future, we don't know. What we know is the result. The film was modest, the truck was auctioned, and the company was gone. The truck was built to outlast all of it. It probably did. We just can't find it. The CB era produced dozens of films and television series that used semi-trucks the way Westerns used horses, as extensions of the character, as the thing a man was trying to hold on to. Most of those trucks were production vehicles that came and went, background machines, atmosphere. The Outlaw was different. It was built to be the center. White Motor Company understood that. They put factory work into it. They sent it to Universal dressed and ready. They expected it to be photographed, to be recognized, to do something for the brand at a moment when the brand needed help. What you find if you go looking for the Outlaw today is a thread on an enthusiast database, a few grainy production stills, a handful of people who have been trying, across the better part of 2 decades of online discussion, to figure out where it went. Nobody has answered that question, not definitively. The stunt truck is gone. The company is gone. The film is barely a footnote. Somewhere out there, in a field, in a barn, in a truck show under different paint or reduced to a frame someone hauled for salvage decades ago, the last show truck white motor company ever built may still exist. Or it doesn't. And that uncertainty is exactly what this format is for. If you have seen it or you know where it went, that information belongs in the record. The enthusiasts looking for it have been doing so for 20 years. They deserve an answer.